Yes, actually, getting into the process is actually I was confused about
Okay.
exactly how the process happens, because in many sites I'm hearing a lot of different things. Some say there is an entrance exam, some say there is just the resume shortlisting. So I was
Yeah.
very confused about that.
Yeah, that is a different perspective. So there is, it's okay. We just consider. I mean, we are trying to share the as the way that we are applying. So whatever we require. So our information is not that confusing and all. We are trying to keep it as short as possible. So you might have seen few videos in our YouTube channel, and also you have been following our updates, right, in the group, if I'm right.
Yes, the group actually I followed it throughout last year admission process, but after that I actually was hoping to apply last year only, but due to pandemic I had to step down. So after that I kind of stopped following.
No,
So I'm
last year I think
starting
that
all
may be
over.
too early for you. If I consider last year, you're saying you'll be graduating next year. But this embassy track you would have tried. That is the one option you have missed. Other than that, it is not too late.
Embassy, I actually talked to one person who is in this university. So he was saying that embassy is actually embassy recommendation is a little tougher. Is that did I hear that right?
Uh, I think Gaurav has shared somewhere the number. If you have seen the updates in the group, so the no, not here. Somewhere we have discussed it. So the number it has reduced to half. He is saying there was some observation. So it
Yeah,
is.
means if I can add it, like last year when I applied, like I am also in embassy recommended MEC scholar. So
Wow.
last year when we applied, there were around 2,146 applicants, and out of which 100 got shortlisted for the interview. And then this year the number reduced to 1100, like 1,100 something, and the results for the interview has not been declared yet for this year. So yeah, the numbers got reduced this year, but yeah, it's still like 100 out of 1,000 or 2,000. It's But yeah, like if your proposal is okay, then they will shortlist you. It's not that once you clear the primary screening of embassy, everything is simple. Then you just have to get a LOA, letter of acceptance from a professor, and then you are good to go.
Okay.
That is
So
one
this,
part. Okay, completely.
so exactly this embassy recommendation procedure and the university recommendation procedure, what are the steps that one should follow?
Yeah. So actually, I have gone through. I have selected through university track, and he has selected through embassy track. So we have both close observations. So it is like what we call this number of applicants is one thing. Another thing is that due to pandemic, the people have changed their opinions. So some of them got multiple offers from different countries, and there are some people who didn't go to Japan. And those all these vacancies, if I put it in one optimistic way, this time if the things go well, they may select for this October slot, the university track. So they may get more slots.
Okay.
So another side is that the university and embassy, the competitions can be comparable, but people say it is easy. A little bit is because not many people will explore most of the universities. Like there will be always few universities will have very few applicants,
Yeah.
and especially these some universities in Tokyo. Also, even I heard for the first time with our applicants when they texted me where they're applying or where they got response. I heard for the first second time like that few institutes. So it always happens.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, in university track, you just have to find a professor in some university in Japan, and then if that university is having a quota in, MEC scholarship, then they will recommend your applicant. They will recommend your application to the MEX. But the thing is that you don't know how many people are contacting that professor or that university. So if you look at the good universities like U Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Kyushu, then many people are contacting. But if you look at the tier two universities, but they are also national universities, so like Tokyo Metropolitan University, so there is a university like this, TMU. And if you find a professor over there and he is ready to accept you, then you can easily get into MEX by university recommendation. So it's all about finding the right university and right professor in university recommendation.
Yeah.
About normal university, about like you said, the tier three universities, the top three universities.
Yeah.
So in there, like, is there any special thing that a candidate should have so that the professor is more inclined towards accepting their application?
Yeah, I mean, like, see, as I said, like, if you are applying for a top university, so they will have two requirements. The first is you have to satisfy the professor, and the second is you have to satisfy the international office. Now, if you see on UTokyo page, they have clearly mentioned that you should have 2.3 out of 3 GPA. So that's the requirement to, apply for university accommodation max. But if you go to different university and different professor, so what happens is that every professor can accept you, okay, but the graduate school can't accept you because they only have 2 to 3 amount of, like, 2 to 3 places they can recommend. So even if professor is okay with you, like, okay, I'll recommend your name to the office, so the office will do the further screening, and that's where the entrance and everything comes, which you were talking about. So once the professor has recommended you, then to proceed further with your application in university recommendation, you have to clear some entrance test. That entrance test is basically an interview or sort of thing. So once you clear that, then graduate school will recommend your name to the next. So that's two-step procedure in university recommendation. But in embassy, it's like once embassy has shortlisted you, you are good to go. Now you are finally into next.
Okay. And about getting into the college, say any university like say Kyoto University or Tokyo, so their entrance procedure, in that, is there any entrance exam or just they'll shortlist my resume?
No, as I said, it will be an interview basically, or sometimes they take exams also. It depends on graduate school. Which graduate school are you applying? So in graduate school of engineering, they basically, professors give you a couple of research paper and they tell you to present it. And in some universities, like I've heard in Waseda University, that they give you some questions also to solve. That's not the real time scenario. They will tell you to upload it, but yeah, it is only in the graduate school of mathematics. So I'm saying that it depends on the graduate school, which graduate school are you applying.
Okay.
And professor will tell you that what is the procedure. So it's not that he won't be or she won't be telling you. So once the professor is willing to accept you, he will tell you all the steps, like what you have to do next and all that thing.
Yeah, I think if I've seen the previous discussions, it happened for me also. One of the applicant, the professor is willing, but the university, I think it's the Tohoku University, the Tohoku Institute, I think. So they are like they have more options to choose. So I think in the second discussion we have shared this. When they have more options, they don't usually take risk. Why to go with the issue, like if that guy is not recommended and you won't go to their lab, so they won't take risk. That is the one. That's the situation with the bigger institutes and the top ranked institutes. That is only for few, not so many. I think 5 to 8 institutes. Remaining all other institutes, it will be like a normal competition. And being you are from NIT, right?
Yeah.
And
also you have it is a computer science background.
Yes, sir.
So if you go for these top institutions, the competitions is, of course, it will be there, because it is one of the good department, and the Japanese, they're trying to come into this IT sector as strong as possible. So that is true. But you can try. In the university recommendation, there is no hard and fast rule, because until it goes to next, the final recommendation, nobody knows where all you're applying, unless you declare yourself. So you can try out. If the professors are willing, they may give some good suggestions. Like, and one more thing is that in the university track, there are multiple schemes. Like I have shared, I think, a couple of institutions explanation, like faculty of engineering. Inside engineering, there are agriculture department, and again electrical and mechanical sciences. They have segregated the schemes. Under each scheme, they have particular slots for next. So that advantage you can leverage with the university recommendation. In the MSc, you won't have that flexibility.
Okay.
So that our whatever we have shared in a previous year, that university recommendation, that university guidelines, that institutes definitely have the special quota for different schools, including Hokkaido and Kanazawa we have shared, and I think few more we have shared. Each they have different schemes for university track. Overall, we have selected almost for university, the entire university track, they will select about 20 people from different schemes, 20 to 30 people for one university. So if you take like that, it is so much number in the overall all the institutions. But that we can't consider, because you are divided with your specialization and your applications where you're talking, where you're approaching the professors, it's all diversified, so that we can't take as a full-fledged like as a way or something. So coming to the application perspective, like you already had a plan for writing a paper. So when you can get it published, what you're saying something? How
Yes,
many
sir.
more months?
Sir, actually, in this 30th, I have a deadline, so I'll be submitting the paper this 30th July, and
Okay.
hopefully, if it gets accepted this particular conference, then hopefully by December it will get published.
Which conference are you talking about?
Sir, IEEE,
Oh,
they are
okay.
having a conference.
So that conference actually need not to be get published and all. So just acceptance will suffice for the application story making. So you need to prepare
Yeah.
your story with acceptance itself. That is enough.
Okay.
And
And sir,
yeah,
I had a few more questions actually.
yeah, go
So,
on.
sir, firstly, I was actually trying to appear for JLPT. I just started the preparation, but I stopped midway. So,
Okay.
is the language so important? Like, should I know Japanese beforehand, or they will teach me once I get there?
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Murugesh, you want to answer it?
No, I think you had good experience with this JLPT. Speak about the weightage and all.
See, like the professor will decide. Okay, so what happens is that they have this 6 months of Japanese preparatory course mixed. So so once you will be enrolling into university, you will be basically a non-regular student. Okay, that's a research student for 1 year or 6 months. So, and to convert your non-regularity into regularity, that is the master's student, you'll have to take another entrance exam once you are into that university. So that entrance is a different entrance. Once you are into the university, you will have to take an exam, give the presentations, and then you will be converted into a full-time student. So once your MEX starts, you will be a non-regular student. So that non-regular period varies. So if you want to take Japanese language preparatory, that will be decided by your professor, because in some cases some lectures are in Japanese, like some classes, subjects are taught in Japanese. So professor will tell you that few subjects in our department or graduate school are in Japanese. So I'll recommend you to spend your first 6 months learning the course, learning the language. So that will be written on your letter of acceptance also, that the one you will be getting from the university, that you will have to undergo that preparatory course. But if you are not doing that, so to suffer, like to support your application, if you are able to give a JLPT N5 score or something like that, then it's okay. Otherwise, what I've heard is that in most of the university recommended candidates, they all are submitting at least IELTS certificate, IELTS or TOEFL, like English proficiency. So my recommendation is that you either submit JLPT, that is Japanese language proficiency, or you submit English language. Like you should support your language skill by some international certification for university track at least.
Okay. Then
Uh,
TOEFL you're suggesting is a mandatory almost,
no,
other
no, no.
than
One second.
JLPT.
One second. One
Yeah,
second.
and not other than like or JLPT or TOEFL or IELTS.
No, actually, that is one part. Other side is that, see, basically you should verify which program you're applying in the university. Like he said, some institutions will have more inclined towards the Japanese based programs. And to be precise, taking Japanese level course, it may be difficult for you. And being in our institutions in India, we are mostly familiar with English. And nowadays, these Japanese schools are encouraging English speaking people for the English programs. Specifically, they have this English programs. So if you are
Yeah,
applying for the English programs, you definitely need to consider TOEFL or IELTS score, and that is one side. But it's not the big issue for us from India, especially for few countries whose the language of instruction is English in our bachelor's itself. So they don't bother much. Still, if you want to showcase, you can showcase, especially for the staff schools that Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto. So they will
actually
consider.
it improves the total application score. Like if you have international certifications like IELTS or TOEFL,
Yeah.
but now Duolingo is also in the market, so you can take that also if you don't want to spend that much. But I'll recommend you to take a English proficiency, because I was also having a IELTS score. And then the thing is that Even I was having IELTS score. I got Japanese taught mechanical engineering program. So my program will be in Japanese and English mix. So yeah, you have to check with the graduate school what is the level of instruction in the particular that school. But most probably, like if you are going for E3 program, so you can Google about E3. Yeah, Hokkaido University is offering E3 program, that is English engineering, something like that.
English
So
education and engineering, all
yeah.
English.
So yeah, so if you are enrolling yourself into E3, then that's completely in English for sure. But if you are going for some core branches like computer science engineering, because if you go for E3 or whatever, like, so they have this multidisciplinary branches, okay, like environment engineering or water engineering, like that. So all the multidisciplinary branches are only taught in English in Japan. All the other core branches, they're still taught in Japanese only. So you have to select which branch you are going. So you have to check with the graduate school also, and according to that, you have to submit your certificates.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think after exploring this background information, I think you better go ahead with the finding a faculty or the laboratories which is interested
Yeah.
as per your expectations. And also this market survey, if you see the overall structure, computer science, there are different names for the PG programs. It's not like our Indian names, or different countries have different notations, that information systems and school of information, like that. We just explore properly and get some a good number of faculty profiles so that you can contact. And I think it is the right time, this July, August, September, you can start mailing them. August, September. By October, deadlines will start, October, November, December, up to January, February also.
Yeah, it's summer vacation right now. So once the semester begins from next month, you can start emailing professors.
Okay. And sir, another thing, like I have this friend who is actually preparing for GRE. She wants to go to US. So she was saying that something like if she takes a job of 1 year or more, then it hampers her scholarship in some way. So is there something like this in Japan also?
Not
Like
really. No,
how?
not
Like
really.
yeah, that is not a, like, if you're doing something and not sitting ideal, then I think it won't be a problem, because you will have that to explain in the interview, if they will ask. So that is not a problem. You can go ahead, like she can go ahead with the job and all.
Okay.
You are saying in the positive side, not the negative part. Like you are saying that the person will be working, right? Not ideal, right?
Yeah. You
So
see,
that,
if like I don't get in my dream university in the first try, so if
okay,
I sit for my placements also, so it is going on right now. So
yeah.
if I take that job and prepare again for the Japanese university, so will that be a problem? So that
It
I
No,
will
want.
no,
be
no,
positive side. That's what I am understanding, not the negative side.
no. It
Okay.
won't be a problem.
So recently, these people from India, I think Osaka people, if you remember Gaurav, that Prashant, I think one more person. So they were working in industry for 2 to 3 years, I think. Now they got
Oh,
this next slot through university track, and now they are joined this October, last October.
yeah, man.
So
Many are like almost all people are working, and then they, once they get max, they leave the job and they'll go. That's not a problem.
Yes.
yeah, and you will have more things to add in your story also. If you have worked even for a few months, you can prepare a good story.
Okay. So
I think that
that's like
story
positive side.
examples, yeah. The story examples, I think we need to put up some more in the upcoming months. We are planning, let's see, each individual, we are planning individual departments. So, any other stuff, other major doubts?
So another one doubt, actually, that was a very big question that came up in all this
Okay,
period in the pandemic time, actually. So if I do my masters from Japan, so after that, Japanese companies can hire me, right? So like
definitely.
working there is not a big problem, right?
Yeah,
No. There you can get a job, but yeah, you'll have to brush up some your language skill. Like
Okay.
it's not like it will be in a full English environment and all. But yeah, some companies are accepting. But what I have heard from different people who are working, so you need at least N3 to get a good job, good company.
Okay.
So
And so if somebody comes back after the masters to India, in the company, in the industrial field, or in the teaching profession, how are the opportunities there? Like good, or like how is it? Like sometimes people prefer US returns, so that's why I was saying, how is the competition there?
Murugesh, you can answer. You are in IIT Madras. So.
You're referring to after masters or after PhD?
After masters actually, but if the situation is comfortable, then I might also go for PhD. So that's
Okay.
in the long run.
So basically, to the best of my knowledge, in old IIT, especially I'm in IIT Madras for the past 5 years, and I was there in IIT Hyderabad for 2 years. So here I didn't see that difference like US and other countries deviation. Especially this Japan also have a good reputation in terms of the good knowledge gaining when you research in
Yeah.
Japanese universities. They focus on the quality of work, so that will make you stand out of the crowd. So that is positive side. It is not like there is not much difference, I could say. But the competition you will be having is like there are many people who went for the Stanford and Harvard and this MIT, the top schools. They are coming back due to pandemic maybe, but I don't know if it is in the future also. If that is the case, you need to have more skill set to fight with them. That is a skills to skills, not the country background.
But like for masters, if you're coming back and you are looking for teaching positions and all, that's
No,
not
no, no, no. That
feasible
is.
also.
I think she didn't
So
mean that. I think is it?
So I was just saying that after, at any point in time, after if I plan to come back and get a job here, then what could be the opportunities, any possible opportunities in say computer science or any engineering background?
yeah, but if you will have your master's degree, then going into company is not that difficult. But if you're talking about teaching job, like as Murugesh said, like if you want to be a assistant professor or like that, you should need PhD degree. So getting after masters, it's not possible. So if you are into the if you are want to go into the field of academics, then I will suggest you to do your masters from Japan, and then you try to go to US for PhD, or you can go to Tokyo for PhD, or good universities for PhD, and then you can come back to India for professor. Because here, if you apply for professor jobs, then I think there is some criteria that you should be coming from QS 500 university.
Yeah.
So yeah, so for PhD, that's a requirement, but after masters you can do a job easily there in Japan, and then after getting 1 or 2 year of experience, you can come back and get a job here also.
Okay.
I think I can
Okay.
add one observation about the job perspective after masters. So parallelly, I got on a few offers also about the MNCs and all. So there I have met few friends. One person from Korea, she did masters there, and she got a job in Singapore. And other person who did masters in Netherlands, and he got also in other company which is based in Hyderabad as well as Singapore. So these companies, like the bigger MNCs, they don't bother where you have come from. But if your skill set is good, even in India, this computers background, the programming and the automation background, they're equally hiring. It's actually the big MNCs, the plants in India, they want people who has some abroad experience.
Yeah.
So the opportunities will be equally like in other countries only, the big MNCs.
Okay.
Equally more than that only, I will say.
Yeah, we can say more. Yeah. So the
Okay.
skill set or the exposure you'll be having will be competitive with the other people, because in India you could see like there will be a lot of people who will go for software jobs after BTech itself. Very few people with masters will come to industry.
Yeah, like I know a guy personally from DTU. Okay, so you know about DTU, right?
Yeah.
Delhi Technical University. So he graduated with me only in 2020. So he got a job at Visa, and he got a job at in Uniqlo, Japan. Okay, so he left the Visa job and he went to Tokyo this year, like last year in November. So yeah, it depends on the priorities, like where you want to do the job and all. Visa was also not a bad option, but he went for Japan to do job. So once you are doing masters there, of course you'll be getting a lot of big opportunities to do job in that country itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, if other than MEX scholarship, which is obviously the best, so other than that, what are some of the scholarships that a person can try to get?
There was
I think, yeah, Murugesh, tell.
there was one this scholarship. I think I forgot the name. We shared in another video. I remember. So which is above the next scholarship, but the slots are very very few.
Okay.
They'll give I think almost double or 1.5 times of the scholarship. I forgot the
Which
name.
youth something,
Not
Asian
that.
Development Bank.
No. There was a national central funded is there. I forgot the name. Maybe in
In
another video it
Japan
is
only.
there. Japan only. They have few
Oh.
slots. That is the one thing if you want to try competitive level. On the below level, what he is saying, Asian Development Bank and also ABP. That is also ADB and ABP. There are few scholarships. And also this university, they will have some what we call industrial tie-up. But why we are discussing this one? Is it for you are discussing, if I am right, or you are just asking for information?
No, actually, if I go there, then I was also planning, like, I've seen that living costs of Japan is actually pretty high in most places. So I
It's a
was
misconception. I don't find it okay.
But
So
the
what
next stipend is more than enough to, survive in life easily. It's not that expensive actually. It depends on which area are you going. So if you're going to Tokyo or Osaka, then it will be comparatively high. And if you're going to Lake Nagoya or Kyushu, so it will be comparatively less. So that is also a factor.
actually I thought of putting these numbers for the people, like it's not even too much expenses. Also there are what we call, how could I fees structure.
Yeah,
Okay.
man. Actually, the average is around 110. So I was checking this MX essay, that MEX Scholar Association website. They have
Yeah.
posted this average expenses. So it was around 90,000 yen to 110,000 yen.
Yeah. Can you see the screen I have shared?
yes, sir. Yes.
So this is a Hokkaido University website. So you can see like the fees, graduate students and research students, the graduate students. This is examination fee and this is the entrance fee and this is a tuition fee for engineering and the science school. So the misconception is, what I am saying is like people get scared by seeing these numbers. But I have few friends who have done their masters with self-funded and now they have continued for a PhD also with self-funded. You know the secret? It's like most of the people, at least with this university, they have got this entrance fee waiver, and also they have got this tuition waiver almost 50% or 70% every year. So it comes only to survival, that is the living cost. I have been there for 4 months. The living cost in Indian currency, if you want to say, it's about 35,000. That is above average living cost, Indian currency.
That's normal actually.
Yeah, so it is I'm saying it's not low living cost in Japan. You can live happily with that 36,000 in that level. So I spent about 40,000, 30 to 40,000. I still have savings up more. When I got about 80,000 yen in Japanese, that is half of the fellowship. That's not for students, for exchange students. We get half of the fellowship. Still, I was able to save some currency. So the living cost and survival cost, it's not too much if you go in detail. And also there will be these schemes like the fee exemptions and all. That is for those people who really. And another thing is that this expenses is like kind of investment only. What we have seen in more depth. How much you will be spending for the course.
And Murugesh is only having the talent to, spend only 50,000 yen
No.
and stay. I was looking for apartment. It was 50,000 yen rent only. So
No, I am saying the corner extreme islands, not in the central Tokyo.
yeah, means I was looking for my apartment, so I was
Okay. Now also we got about for 35 or 40,000 in apartments in Hokkaido. So
yeah.
it depends on the islands where you are applying. So that is I think that is the worst case. I don't think you need to try that one in the first stage. And I didn't see anything lagging in your profile also. It looks competitive enough. So first you try very clearly with the university track for the next. I think you will be able to clear that because why I'm saying, I have seen many other people who are having even less what we call the credentials. Still, they are able to crack the interviews.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying it's not relevant for you. I don't see any relevance. That is too much of gap is there, as per my opinion.
Okay.
So you could
But you
write
could have
your
applied for embassy track also. Like since you're from NIT, then they would have preferred it because they prefer the central university straight, like Institute of National Importance, and then state and government universities. So you could have tried that
yeah.
also.
So if I apply for the universities this year, so I talked to Murugesh sir, I think prior this year in the beginning,
Yeah.
that if I apply for university recommendations and next recommendations in the embassy recommendations next year, it won't be a problem. So
It
whichever one
will.
I
Yeah, you
get.
can try. It won't be clashing so closely. I think we have discussed multiple times this same doubt, so you can try that.
No,
Okay.
but like if you're applying for university track and once you are into the file, like once your application has been recommended to MEX, that you will be getting to know by January, February itself, because April is
Yeah.
the time when you will be getting the results. So then it's no need to apply for embassy. And then if you're not able to get into the recommended list by the university, then you can try from embassy side. So there's no point of clashing, I think.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, like you would suggest that right now the first thing I should do is contact a professor in the universities I want to try.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you get the link which I shared, like the list of universities? There are all the engineering based, English based programs. I have shared one link in the group. Did you remember?
Sir, which time actually you did?
I shared multiple times. It will be there somewhere in history of the group or somewhere. I'll find out. I'll send you, no problem.
Okay,
So it will give
I'll
entire
find it.
country list.
It is
So
on the embassy website also, Murugesh.
probably this is Tsukuba University. They have shared it actually. Tsukuba, or I think I forgot the university. One university they have shared for their students, and it has all the list also.
Okay.
And another thing is that what we always say that you please work on your documents with optimistic way. It is so early to be a pessimistic or something another negative round. So work on your documents clearly and make some solid story about yourself, why you want to go there, what you want to do, and try to be in detail what you will achieve in the 2 years of master's program. To the best of your knowledge, that is fine. The professor may help you once he is impressing with your applicant documents. Then he may guide you for the interview, the panel. For me, I didn't have interview with the faculty because he already assessed me before that. So I have only with the next panel. So there is no technical review, only the application point of view they have verified how well he can correlate. So the technical review will be with the faculty mostly, or after the faculty, that before the next panel in the university. So you can prepare the documents thoroughly, and then, like he said, like TOEFL, you can try TOEFL or IELTS. That will enrich your profile. Yeah, this link is shared. This is there. I think there was one more link, Gaurav. This is one link, and one more link is also there. This is official link what you have shared. This is still a good option. You can explore. Okay, shared to me. Okay, I'll put it. Okay. So yeah, that suggestions you can take, and the videos. There will be some couple of videos in between the sessions we have recorded. Like what if you don't get response with the professors. So there will be some good insights when we discuss with the others. There is already recorded. So whenever you get time, don't. I'll suggest always like spend in short times. Like spend some time today, spend some time other day. So you'll get more valuable data. Otherwise, you'll get bored.
Okay. Okay.
So that's anything. Any other suggestions, Gaurav?
Uh, no, man. It's like first she need to find a professor and get a positive response. That's the first thing, and then only something will happen like with the application, because professor will constantly be in touch with you, and they will tell you about the research proposal, what to write and everything. But to introduce yourself to the professor, you should follow a professional and good research oriented email. So yeah, that's the first step, I'll say. and then once you succeed that, then proceed to the next step, inquiring about the graduate school and language and everything.
Okay.